What's up, my dudes? Welcome back to another episode of the Mixed Tribe Dad podcast. I am your host, Cameron Gilmore. Thank you so much for all of you that have liked, shared, and subscribed and sent this off to individuals who need the ticket, who need the ride, and who need to understand that we are all in this fight together and we can do great things with each other. So this episode is going to be one that's super fun. It's going to be broken down into three different categories, okay? This is self-care as high-ticket men, specifically in the workforce. So let's start off with understanding a couple of principles. So we're going to go from the CEO mindset, right, and all the way down to the 9-to-5 mindset. The goal of this is to understand that I don't want you to think that you have to become a CEO. I don't want you to think you have to start your own business. I don't want you to think that you have to leave what you're doing, right, and then start your own company. That's not at all what I want you to think. What I want you to understand is this level of education and training is going to be from the CEO mindset that I've had over the years, decades. And I want you to train yourself to think like the CEO, which is the space in which you occupy. So those of you that are high ticket men, which is all of you, that's why you listen, right? You have to understand productivity when you do self-care goes up 25%, okay, according to the American Psychology Association 2021 study. Understand that your productivity goes up 25% when you work on self-care, specifically the mental clarity. So let's dive into this right now. When I was commissioned in early of 2025 or actually the end of 2024, from a former employee of mine, she had asked me if I could come help their company, which was basically going under. They'd been dead red for the longest time. And she was like, please, I need you to come help. I need you to help us. I said, sure, let's take a look. So I went in, analyzed the business and looked at everything. And I said, okay, biggest thing here was you guys don't have your identity. What is the company's identity? What is the identity that you guys are going after? They didn't understand. They were like, we don't know. I mean, sell, keep people a profit, keep people afloat. I mean, what is your identity, right? So when you establish anything and we start looking at where the downfall is on companies or your growth as an individual, what is your identity? What can you say? This separates me from everybody else. This separates me from the pack. This is my identity. And what is that identity? So the first thing I had to do with them is I established an identity. Why do people want to come work here? What is so great about this? And if you think, the pay, it's BS. Money isn't everything. You understand the new commodity these days is not money. It's time. But not just time, because there's a lot of companies that offer unlimited PTO. That's not what it is. It's quality of time. More importantly, the quality of life that they are able to live. Okay. More importantly, it's the mental break they get from companies. It's the mental break that they can get from being somewhere, not having to think that my mind has always have to be focused on work. Okay. So that is the new commodity. Can you truly give them a quality of time to help them build on their mental psyche, their mental stress, their mental reset? Can you give them that time? And do you allow them to take that time? So the first thing you have to understand is time, true time. So if you tell them, right? So this is one thing that we did was understand that your employees are getting burnt out. They see, right, with this company, they see the demise of the company. They see it starting to fall apart. They see all the cracks. They see all the people that are leaving, right? So you went from 25 people all the way down to 7, just like that in the blink of an eye, and you lost key leadership. So now what do we do? Now what do you do? Most people just would throw it up and say, well, this sucks. No, we do what Cortez did in the 1400s, right? Burn all the boats and say, we either are going to do this or we're going to die. Not literally, figuratively speaking. So what we did is we established who we were, who they were, why people wanted to come and why people wanted to stay. We started to elevate those that were already there. We started to elevate them and elevate them quickly. We started to change things. We helped them understand your job isn't to be the professional. Your job is to connect those individuals with the professionals. So if we just focus on the connection part, we can balance and start to level this out. So then what we started to do is we started to ask the individuals, right? What works? What doesn't work? What sucks? What do you hate about working here? Well, why do you come here? And it can't be because you get free lunch every day. You can't, because I know you, and you would rather starve as a free lion as opposed to being fed like a caged animal. So what keeps you coming here? Understand the psyche of them. Why do they keep coming? So then you ask yourself this: why do I keep going back to where I go? And right now, men, you might be like, I go there because it pays my bills. If I were to leave, I would get screwed. I would be screwed. 100%. I know that feeling, right? If you were to leave, if you were to quit, fired, or whatever it may be, you don't want to ruffle the feathers, you would lose income and you would lose everything. House, cars, kids would have to get pulled out of a different school. You can have money, you can food on the table. You would revert back to just being straight broke and poor. Right? Okay. So how do we then take the quality of your life and elevate it? Meaning, are you afraid to take time off? Are you afraid to leave your work? Are you afraid to just say, no, I need to work on my self-care. I need to work on my mental stability. I need to be able to unplug and not feel like I'm always thinking about work. Because if you're always thinking about work, you're overloading your brain. So I ask this question, how do you turn it off then? It's simple. It's not, but it is. It's right in front of us, but we have the hardest time accepting this is how I shut it off. So here's what you do. The first thing that you do: 10 minutes before you're done with your shift, 10 minutes you're done working, 10 minutes of whatever it may be. So let's do CEO right now. So you own your company. Here's what you need to do. Here's what I did. Once I had laid out all the three things I needed to get accomplished today, I went through the time blocking, I went through structuring and focusing at 100%, right? If you don't do that, that's a whole nother thing we can talk about. But at the end of the day, when I was done, literally done, 10 minutes before, here's what you do. You write out all the things that you were able to get accomplished. Did this done, I got this done, perfect, we did this. And do not use negative reinforcing words. That doesn't sound right. Do not use negative reinforcing words, such as, I kind of did this okay. Well, man, I should have done this better. Well, I guess I did all right. Nope, that's not what I want you to use. I want you to use positive, direct verbiages. Understand me? I got this accomplished. 25% of this was done. 90%, which was we almost got this done. This was definitely not that good. I got 1% because 1% is still better than 100% of doing nothing, right? So I wrote this all down and I would sit and visualize it. Perfect. What do I need to accomplish tomorrow? The number one thing I needed to get done tomorrow is this. Wrote it down. Perfect. Set it off to the side. Don't look at it. Then take all of that you've written down. Perfect. We got all this accomplished. Excellent. Deep breath in through the nose. 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to hold it for 2 and then breathe out through your mouth on a 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're really going to push right here with your diaphragm. Really push that out. Same thing. Breathe in again. And you're now releasing all of that energy out. Now you're clearing your mind, you're clearing your thought. And then when you're done, okay, you're going to do this 5 times. Please understand that you might feel a little woozy. Okay, if you start to feel woozy, stop, kind of reset this. You're going to do this 5 times through the nose, deep. Right? Stand up and make sure you do this. On that 5th one, you're going to grab that piece of paper that had all your stuff you accomplished, and you're going to go, and you're just going to rip it up. This ripping motion triggers the brain that says, this means I'm done. This means I'm done. This means I'm done. This means I'm done. You are going to rip it up. That closes the brain. You OCD people, right? Hyper-focus, I got to get done. You've already written it down. Guess what? You tear it up all the way up and you toss it in the trash. It's done. Your brain now goes, I've finished that task, so I no longer have to think about that task. When I walk out that door, when I leave or I shut my office in my house, when I'm done, okay? So when I'm done, now I'm done. I've done my breathing. I've reflected. I wrote down. I've done my breathing techniques. Now I've ripped it out. Now I'm going to go stand in the sunlight. In the sunlight. You're going to stand outside. Now in the wintertime, it's a little difficult. I get it. You're going to still go outside for 10 minutes and just stand there and let the sun reset you. The sun has healing properties and healing powers. The sun can change the mood of anything. If you're feeling depressed or if you're feeling down, if you're beating yourself up, go stand in the sun for 10 minutes. Just stand there. Close your eyes and relax. Let your mind clear. Go walk. Go walk. What happens is your brain starts to readjust. Your body starts to eat up the vitamin D that comes from the sun. Your mind starts to clear itself. You start to breathe a little easier. Chest starts to untighten. You can take a deep breath. Clarity comes back. Worry leaves. Not all the way, it's still there. But then you sit and think to yourself, what am I really worried about? What am I really, really worried about? For me, it was letting down people. For me, it was, if I don't figure this out, I'm going to cost people their livelihood. I'm going to cost people money that they need to support their family, put food on their table, keep a roof over the head, drive to work, pay bills, create a life that they want, memories, and joy with their family. If I don't figure this out, I'm going to let a lot of people down. And that's super hard for me to come to grips with reality. But if I got this right, what would that mean by getting it right? By getting it right, I instilled hope, instilled change, growth, believability. People can start to look at themselves a little different. People can start to understand themselves better. People can have clarity of thought and clarity of mind. People can start to love themselves more. We can start doing more charitable things. They can understand that they're a human and not just a number at a work. They can start to understand that even though it's tough, we're all in the fight together. We get this thing to work. We can start to pay them more. They can go on trips more. We can help them build memories more. And so I started to visualize this in my head as I was closing my eyes, standing in the sun. What if this didn't work, what would happen? Just went through that exercise. But if it does work, I know it can work because I've seen it done. I've seen it. I've done it before. I've been part of it. And I've been the director, the captain of the boat. So you CEOs, when you stand outside and you go, you're done. And guess what? The only reason you're going to think about work is if you choose to. But if you actively say, I'm done. I'm going to go spend time with my family. I'm going to go spend time trying to blend my family together. Because that time, I'm blending my family. And you're like, I gotta focus on that. That is the most important thing right now, is blending this family. Making sure the hot wife knows that she's loved and where can I help? And then I come home and perfect. This is what it is. Because understand this, CEOs, management, or just guys that are working 9 to 5. Listen, understand this. Your kids and your wife don't care about your feelings. Let me say this again before you start cussing at me. Let me say it again. Your children and your wife do not care about your feelings. Business feelings. They don't. They don't care if you landed a massive deal. They don't care if you had to do overtime. They don't care that you designed something phenomenal. They didn't care that you were here, you were there. They don't care. They think it's cool. Here's what they care about. They want to know when you walk through that door, whether you physically walk through that door, you come out of your office, they want to know, which dad am I getting? Am I getting work dad still? Or am I getting dad, ready to go outside and play catch, do dress up, go to a movie, go spend time with each other. Is that the dad I'm getting? Because that's the dad that I want. This dad over here, I could care less about because he's grumpy dad. Grumpy dad, I don't want. Happy dad, I don't want. Yeah, you're going to tell me all these cool things. That's great, but can we go to the movies? Can we go do something? Can you spend time with me? Right? That's the dad that they want. So when I say your wife and your children don't care about your feelings, they don't. They just don't care about your work feelings. They just don't. The mindset is, did you kill it? Did you kill the beast? Did you kill the animal? Can we have food on the table, roof over our head? Do we have a car to drive? Gas? Can we stop at the gas station? Can we go somewhere? Can we have fun? Can you do that? Can you drop me off here? I need to go here. I need to go there. You become that dad that they've been that they rely on. You become that dad you anchor into. You start to become that father figure in the house, right? As a bonus dad that they can start to rely on. You start to build that trust. You start to build that relationship with them. That's what they want. Self-care, your self-care. You elevate yourself 25% better when you work on yourself. And that is the part that you need to work on. You leave work dad alone and you come home with dad. That's what you want. That's what you want. CEO dad is super difficult because all you do is focus on this, right? No, they don't care. They just don't care. How do I know? Because when I saved that company, I was like, man, we got it, man. That company had a 400% increase, turnaround in 6 months. In 6 months, they were like, oh, cool. That's awesome. And I'm like, you don't understand. Like I helped a lot of people. Oh, that's real cool. That's awesome. What? Want to watch a movie? Sure. Yeah, let's go watch a movie. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the CEO mindset. So the CEO mindset, whether you work 9-to-5 job, whether or not, your mindset has to be, how do I shut off work dad and I become dad? And when you can start to separate those two out, when you can start to prioritize and put one in this box and one in this box, and you say, I have to take care of myself. So work dad accomplishes a lot. And yeah, you can share those wins and you can share those experiences, right? Here, let me give you this really big tip, really big tip. Here's the tip. When you involve your children in what your growth is, when you involve them in your vision board, do you remember the vision board that we talked about? If you've not developed a vision board, right? Come on, let me show you. Vision board, right? When you involve your children and your wife in the vision of what you are going to accomplish, when you involve them in that part of the process of growth, when you involve them, then they see dad's doing awesome because we get to go do cool things, because we're going to go and have more experiences. We're going to create more memories. That's what they want. When you think about it in this perspective, this is really super scary. By the time they turn 8, they start to think parents are cool. So 8 years have passed. Now they start to go. From 8 to 12, they start to figure out themselves. From 12, right, to 18, 6 years, you get 6 years of really cool kids. And then they're gone. They graduate high school and they move on. Think about that for a second. If you knew that you only had 6 years with your children, 6 years to mold and shape them, 6 years to help them become the best version of themselves, 6 years to establish them, help them establish the confidence, the drive, the go-getter. If you knew you had 6 years, that's all you had with them. If you had 6 years with them, right? What would you do different? What would you do better? How would you change your mindset? How would you work on yourself? How would you elevate you as an individual, as a dad? How would you then take that to the next level? If you knew you only had 6 years with them, what would you do? How would you go all out? And at the end of the day, does it really matter what anybody else thinks that you're doing? Does it really matter that so-and-so is going here and so-and-so is going there? Are you starting to compare yourself? Are you starting to rob yourself of that happiness? Because if you are, you're human. Because we've all been there. I've been there. I still am there. I still will get in that comparison mode. I still will get in that mindset of, dang, man, I look at what this person was able to accomplish and this person was able to accomplish as their families are going on vacations. I'm like, dang, that sucks. That would be really fun to do. Whether the husband and wife are still married, or they're remarried again and they're able to do a lot of cool things, right? I look at that and go, that is so cool. It sucks because I wish I have that. I wish we could provide that. I wish we could fly around the world and show them all kinds of really, really cool things. But the one thing that I know that we were able to do when we were blending this family, when we were blending this beautiful family, was help them grow into who they are. Help them become versions of themselves that they may not have otherwise known that they had. In helping them understand that process and that growth, we were able to help elevate each other. So when you start to really hunker in self-care and start to really get this right and understand that you need to close your work day before you go home, you need to close those tasks that you have set for yourself. You need to give yourself some grace, some space, right? Because tomorrow's still going to come, right? You're still going to go to work. You're still going to have to accomplish those certain things. But if you can give yourself and close that chapter every single day, the breathing technique, the writing technique, the ripping technique, going outside, standing in the sun, you spend 20 minutes. Think about it, 10 minutes before you leave work and then 10 minutes after you leave, you're in there. Who cares what everybody thinks? Who cares if you're like, dude, what are you doing? You're like, I'm just resetting. Before I go home, I'm just resetting. Just resetting. Just got to reset. Because I want to go home and be happy with my children. I want to go home and let my children know Dad's home. I want to go home and just know that my children are ready to jump up on me and give me a big old hug and say, Dad's home. That's what I want. It's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. You're not going to always go home and be like, let's go the chipperest of all chipper. That's not what's going to always happen. 80% of the time, let's say you're like that. Maybe 70% of the time. What if it was just little incremental changes, day over day, week over week, month over month, year over year? What if it was small little changes that they were able to recognize and see? And they were like, man, my dad is pretty freaking cool. Well, what if those little tiny changes helped you start to change and help you go after that promotion that you were wanting it at work? Maybe it's moving into more of a management. Maybe it's your employers are like, dang, we can rely on him. We'll move him into this role. We'll pay him more. We'll give him a little title. Maybe we'll want to grow and elevate him and see what he can do to help growth. And maybe you hit a point where you're running your company, and because you're growing so much, you say, man, I suck. I suck at doing this, and I suck at doing that. I suck at doing this, which is totally good, because once you start to recognize where you suck, then you start to put people in those positions so they can elevate. The best thing, so going back to this company, the best thing we started to do was put people in the position that would help them to grow the fastest. The companies that I built, the first thing I do is figure out how can I replace myself as fast as possible? How can I replace myself with smarter people? That's what I want. My job is to vision and cast a vision. My job is to go and build and work on the company, not in the company. So first thing I need to do is replace me. Where do I need to replace? Don't know. I need to figure that out. So I would isolate. I would say, where do I need to go? Oh, I need a sales manager. I can't be the salesperson. Guess what? We're going to bring this person on. Hey, I'm not going to ask. I'm going to tell. Do you understand that process? You don't ask them, hey, would you like to do this? No, you say, hey, listen, here's what I'm going to do. This job, let me give you a little insight of how I hire people and promote people. This is how we do it. I tell them, listen, there's a job posting that's coming up. Here are all the things that I'm looking for in this position. Read them all. Yep. You, good friend, you have 40%. You have 40% of the characteristics that I'm looking for. My job is to give you the 20% that we can work with, so not 60. Then it's your job to figure out the 40%. So what you're going to do, always do it on a Friday. Go home, tell your wife, tell your kids, whatever it may be. Say, hey, this one, you have a new role with the company. It's not going to require more hours. Nope. Maybe at the beginning you have to require a little more time. But it's not going to take me away. I can still leave when I need to. I still need to work and leave, right? but I'm going to become better as an individual. So when you come back in on Monday, you and I are going to work hip and hip, hand in hand. You are going to see and understand, and I need you to ask me questions. That's what I need you to do. If you're looking at something, why are you doing that? Why are you doing it this way? What about this or what about that? You get to take notes, and I get to show you. We get to have this wonderful conversation, and we get 2 weeks, and you're going to sit with me. You're going to come into the meetings. You're going to come on the phone calls. You're going to listen to how I talk to investors. You're going to listen to how I talk to potential big companies and clients. You get to listen to all of that, how I train, how I teach, how I inspire, what I do, why I do what I do. You're going to do that, and guess what we're going to do? We're going to put a phone up and we're going to hit record, and we're going to record ourselves doing all this, because like Dan Martell says, right, when you record it, he calls it the camcorder method in his book, Buy Back Your Time. If you haven't read it, go get it. It's fantastic. Do the camcorder method. I love it. You record yourself in the action, and then that becomes a training process that I then give to the person that I'm elevating to the new position and saying, perfect, now it's your job to take what we just recorded. You put your spin on it, and now that becomes solidified. And now he sees himself valuable in the company. And that's what you want. You want valued people. You don't want dollar figure people. You want valued people. People that would love every day coming into work. They just love it because they know that what they say and how they are and who they are, they know that it has a purpose. And now you've just replaced it. You're thinking about this. You just replaced yourself with somebody who can do what you do, but it only can do it 60% as good as your 100%. But listen to this, CEO. 60% of their time is 100% better of your time. Now you have just freed up 60% of your time to go work on and not in your company. It's fantastic. When I started to do that, when I started to really focus in on helping others become the best version of themselves, then I elevated. So my self-care had to elevate. Remember this, your company growth will only be as fast as your personal growth. Your growth in a company will only be as fast as your personal growth. Do you understand that? The more you grow individually, the more you will grow in your company or on your company, depending on where you are. If you own the company or if you're an employee of a company, the more you grow, the 25%, think about this. If at the end of this year, if you were 25% better as a human being, how would that translate into working on or in your company? That's why self-care and self-understanding, that's what we've talked about today. Understanding which data am I going to get, understanding how to elevate those around me, how to become the best version of myself. When I did that, when I started to focus on that, that's when it elevated and took off. And I became a version of me that I've always wanted to become. And my children can respect that. My wife thinks it's super hot, which I absolutely love because she's a super hot wife. But you start to feel better about yourself. You start to have a little bit of more swag. And you start to walk a little bit different. You start to talk a little bit, not in a cocky or conceited way. You just start to feel better. And then people ask you, what did you do? And then you get to share. Because the proof is in the pudding. I will leave you with this. The best salespeople out there, the best companies out there, tell a story and let the facts edify the story. Remember, facts tell and stories sell. Shout out to my mentors on that one. Facts tell, stories sell. Go elevate yourself. Go become better. Go become the best version of yourself. Go become the best version of who you are. My 30 for 30 program, my 30-day transformation program, perfect way to start. Go find yourself a book. If you need recommendations, I've got a link that are the top 12 books that I recommend anybody to read that will change your life. I love you boys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for inspiring me. Thank you for becoming the best versions of yourself.